Antiverse.
How do we start these things?
I think you usually start by saying, like, hello and welcome to
I don't think I've ever said hello.
Okay, well, don't say
How
hello.
How rude of me!
Say, welcome to the Antiverse episode, whatever. I think is something along the lines of...
All right, so this is, welcome to the Antiverse, episode 57. We're going to just call it that. I'm pretty sure that we did a 57 and a 58 at some point. I just never, uploaded them.
We might have even done a 59, so technically this should probably be our, 60th episode.
That doesn't sound right.
Okay.
59. But 58 sounds like it probably happened.
I'm pretty sure 58 happened.
Yeah, well, we're just going to go with 57 because officially 56 was the last one on the blog, and the iTunes feed doesn't exist anymore, so we can't go by that. So, yeah, that was 4 years ago.
Wow.
So, unquestionably, our longest gap between episodes.
Yeah, I'd say so. I might have to go back after this and look through the blog just to see what the next longest gap is, because it's probably pretty long, actually.
Actually, it's funny because on that episode it had been 10 months since episode 55.
Wow.
And on that episode we said that was the longest gap.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
So we just keep getting longer, so we'll probably do another one in 12 years.
Awesome. Look forward to that.
So we'll be announcing the PlayStation 6 and Nintendo will probably be out of business. Yeah, so what's up? What you been doing for the last 4 years?
Man, what have I been doing? Mostly working, actually.
I guess we can I guess we can start with our what you've been playing. So what have you played in the last 4 years?
Well,
basically, what have you played since Cold Heart came out? Since that was what the last episode was about.
Man, we've definitely done an episode since then, but I've got to say, probably by that point, I hadn't really started playing Dead or Alive 5 Last Round all that much. And
just Ultimate.
Yeah, I'd probably played some Ultimate. I think I played a lot of Ultimate, Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, and then a newer version, Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, came out, and I got really into that. And I think both of us played a lot of that.
Yeah, I think it's in my Xbox right now. Actually, it's like the only physical game I still have.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's in my Xbox because it's like the only game I bother leaving in my Xbox. Any other physical game I don't really play.
Yeah.
Everything else I play on Xbox I have digitally, so yeah.
We played Arkham Knight. We both played that.
Yes, and I can't believe
maybe this is a better way to what's the word here? Minimize this. Is we could just talk about the things both of us have played, since that's probably not a very long list.
Yeah.
So yeah, true. Arkham Knight was definitely one of them.
That was definitely one of them, and that was one that I can't believe we haven't done an episode about, because
we did a lot of episodes and a lot of blog posts about Arkham series in general.
Yeah, so. and that one was definitely a game worth talking about. But I guess if we start getting into it now, it'll be the whole episode. So that's not what this was about.
Maybe one day we can do a retrospective on the whole series.
Yeah.
Since it's probably done with. It's not looking like there's going to be another game. No Origins 2, unfortunately. Probably not.
Which stinks, but maybe we can do it when Rocksteady actually announces whatever their next game is.
That's a good idea. Yeah. That's a pretty good idea.
So yeah,
which I was telling you the other day. It's kind of odd that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it is.
Arkham Knight was 3 years ago,
which was a pretty long time between game development.
And normally games get announced 10 years before they come out. So
yeah. So get that hype train rolling.
So we can do. You want to do some like quick comments on that now, or do you want to just save it all for whenever that episode happens? I mean, we can say Matter of Family was awesome.
Matter of Family was awesome. That is definitely high point of that entire game, in my opinion, by kind of a lot.
I think it's the best DLC in the whole franchise, personally.
And a lot of people have kind of disliked the DLC in the franchise. I've kind of liked all of these.
It's all been awesome. I don't know.
I've thought all the DLC was actually quite good in the franchise, but Matter of Family is still definitely my favorite in the entire franchise.
I even like the Bruce Wayne challenge maps DLC from Origins.
Yeah, I did too. I thought those were actually a nice challenge, especially in a game where everyone was saying like a part of its problem was that it was too easy. The Bruce Wayne challenge maps were actually like really quite hard.
Yeah, because you didn't have any really. I was going to say powers, but Batman doesn't have powers.
Yeah, but you didn't have any like you had a couple special moves you could do, but you didn't have the full access to all of them. So,
yeah. Well, I'm sorry, we're still on you. Oh no, wait, we're doing both of us.
Yeah.
Is there anything else both of us play? Well, I guess we've been playing Dead by Daylight.
We have been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight
for the last 7 months now.
Yeah, so I think started in about February, so that's about 7 months. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that game is 2 years old already, and it came out after our most recent episode. So.
Yeah. It was even after one of those episodes that never got created. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I'll say this, it's really fun, which is why we've been playing it so much.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I don't think you've played it in a while though.
I've actually been probably about a month or maybe even a little bit more at this point that I haven't played it.
Probably because of the main game that we're going to be talking about.
Yes, that was at least a couple weeks of my time.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't know. I some of it was just being busy. I've started. I don't know. Is this a good time to even talk about this? But I've started a blog.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead. I mean, we can retouch on it again at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I started a blog / other podcast. Well, that podcast hasn't started yet, but it will. But it's
at least a blog already.
It is a blog already at captainaway.wordpress.com, where I just review comic book series. I've done, I think, 6 or 7 so far. It comes out every Friday. And then Chris and I are going to be doing a special podcast kind of for that blog. It's going to be available through the Patreon I've created for that blog. And I'll also be doing a free podcast for that blog as well. That will be available. I think right now my planned schedule is for the free episode probably like the first Monday of the month, and then the episode me and you do probably like the second or third Wednesday of the month. That's kind of my planned schedule right now. We'll see if that holds out.
Yeah, a few years, really, at all.
Yeah. We've done a lot of being
maybe
like...
Maybe we shouldn't be hosting a gaming podcast.
Yeah, we've done a lot of like, I don't have time for games, or I just don't really feel like games, So that's kind of prevented us from doing a podcast as well, because we haven't really been playing enough games to want to talk about them in a podcast format.
Right. But that's kind of why it used to be so long between episodes, is because we would never play the same games, so we would just wait till each of us had played enough different games, so we had enough to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, I would talk about these couple of games, you would talk about this couple of games,
Right.
I guess another game I got into over the last couple years, I played Halo 5 for a really long time. I guess about a year, maybe a little less than that. And we played that together a couple times.
Yeah, we did play that together a few times. I did really get into the headshot focused mode, because that's how I played shooters anyway. Is I pretty much just go for headshots. So
I'll play that again if you want. I haven't played Halo in forever, and I'd probably be just as rusty as you would be.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I've never been good at shooters, but, a mode that is focused on headshots, like I said, that's kind of how I play shooters anyway, so, like,
Yeah.
it was kind of the perfect mode for me, so I was glad someone came up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we both played Metal Gear Solid 5. I don't know if we played it. I don't know if you played it a lot. Oh, well, actually, I think you didn't you beat it?
No,
Oh, okay.
I did not beat it.
Okay, I guess I'm thinking of someone else. Yeah, well, so I guess neither of us beat it. So yeah, it's a really long game.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of stopped when you get to a point where it feels like the end of the game and then it's not.
Yeah,
and then I just stopped.
that's probably the same point I got to, actually, because there was one point I was like, oh, the game's ending already, and then I was like, oh, it's not ending already. Okay, and then I just kind of never went back to it. So
It's one of those things I keep meaning to go back to, but just I never do. I don't know.
yeah, the same. I always thought I would eventually beat it, because I was enjoying it. I did think it was a pretty fun game. It had a lot of new stuff to this. It did a lot of fun stuff with the stealth that I feel like the past several games in that series hadn't done.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of enjoying that aspect of it a lot. So I always figured I would eventually beat it, but I just kind of never did.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's I don't know if I'd say it started getting repetitive, but I guess it kind of was because you're just kind of going through the same areas over and over again.
Yes.
Just you kind of go, you like enter them from different directions, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you have 3 areas, I think, in the entire game, and they are big areas, but like you just kind of go back and forth over them.
Yeah,
Over and over and over again, and that does start getting annoying.
I really liked using the dog in that game.
I loved using the dog. That was awesome. Or I guess he was a wolf.
Oh, was he a wolf? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he was a dog. Maybe it was just like a husky or something. But I mean, I guess the idea was for him to be a dog because there were diamond dogs, like the Bowie song. So, and every time I would play that game, Egan would just be in the background singing that diamond dogs.
Well, it's ever since, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I mean, I guess the game is 2 years old now.
Yeah, something like that.
2 or 3, but. I mean, ever since I kind of had the ending of the game spoiled for me. I think I told you about it too because you said you didn't care either. But ever since I heard about how the game ends, I just lost total interest in actually seeing how the story plays out. So
right, yeah, I think someone who wasn't you did tell me something about how it ended because I think they thought I had beaten the game already. And then I think maybe you gave me a bit more information. And yeah, I think that was kind of about the point where I stopped caring as well. And I don't think I realized that it bothered me enough to stop caring, but I think that was, looking back on it, kind of the point where I stopped playing as much.
Right. I don't know. I guess that's probably enough.
Yeah.
Nothing else major has really happened.
Other than the one that we're here to talk about.
I mean, when we did that last episode, the new systems were already out, so it's not like we haven't already talked about those.
Yeah, true.
And I don't think any major games have come out. I mean, they have, I guess, but not that we've played.
Oh,
definitely not that both of us have played.
Oh my god, dude! Breath of the Wild.
Duh!
Because I just realized the Switch came out between the last episode and this one. And that's definitely a game we both played.
Man, I would have loved to do an episode about that game.
We absolutely should have. Maybe we should still at some point.
Yeah. Duh. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe we both forgot about that.
Well, in our defense, we played it on Wii U. It's easy to forget.
I suppose that's true.
I mean, even if we'd played it on Switch, we probably still would have forgotten it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game's pretty awesome.
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't think it's quite as amazing as everyone is building it up as, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen people complain that like the main game is really short, and that's very true. And the main game is definitely not all that interesting, but doing all of the side stuff is just like so much fun. I was like, I couldn't believe how much fun it was to do like just like all the random crap in that game that there was to do. That originally, when they were like showing that in like E3 and stuff, I was like, oh, this game's gonna be so boring. You're gonna have to do all this side stuff to do anything, and like I really didn't think I was gonna like that stuff, but it ended up being really, really fun.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a huge expansion to a game that had already come out.
Yeah,
to me.
That's a good description.
But I mean, it was good. I mean, like I kind of feel the same way, that I did about Arkham Origins in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better than Arkham Origins, but
yeah.
I mean, it's had that same type of feel.
Yeah, and that, in my opinion, that was a good feel for both of them.
Yeah.
It's just weird that Breath of the Wild didn't have that first game to make you feel that way, but
right.
but that is, I agree, that is kind of rather how it feels like there should have been this whole other portion of game, and this was all like expansion stuff for you to do, but
right.
that wasn't the case.
Well, I guess that's it. I think we've touched on everything here.
We've at least been talking about random stuff for long enough, I think.
Yeah, and while we keep intending to play A Way Out. We still haven't played that, but
yeah,
we'll play it maybe someday.
Possibly.
So yeah, well, I guess we can move along to the main topic. Pretty recent. How long did it come? I guess it came out. Did it only come out 2 weeks ago?
Only about 2 weks ago. I'm not sure the exact date, honestly.
Well, it was Friday. It was a Friday.
It was a Friday, which had to have been recent. It was definitely in September. So yeah, it was actually Friday, September the 7th. Was when it would have come out. So that was only 2 weeks ago. Wow.
Yeah, wow. Feels like it's been out for a while. Well, anyway, so we're talking about Spider-Man. Or, I guess, Marvel's Spider-Man.
Yes.
Or Spider-Man PS4, whatever you want to call it. Pretty big deal. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's playing it. Everybody's raving about it. It's like the second coming of superhero games, apparently.
Pretty much.
Everybody's on board the Spider-Man train. It's just, to me, it's unfortunate that it had to happen with PS4 exclusive.
Yeah, I agree.
But, oh well. I guess I'll take what I can get.
And I guess I kind of wanted to touch on that anyway, about how everyone's on it. They're like really excited about this one.
Yeah.
So I guess since you mentioned it, it may be a good time because like
yeah, go for it.
I've been I've been playing like every Spider-Man game that has come out since Spider-Man PS1. With the exception of the second PS1 Spider-Man game, which I really wanted to play and just never did. And then,
I didn't play that one until like recently. Oh, I say recently. It was probably like 10 years ago. But
yeah, until way later.
Recently in terms of when the game actually came out. Yeah.
Right. And then Web of Shadows I never played and never really wanted to.
That game looks like shit.
Yeah, it looked really bad. So, but literally every other Spider-Man game that's come out, I've played.
But the people I've talked to who have played Web of Shadows said it's actually pretty good. But I don't know. It just didn't look appealing at all.
Yeah,
to me.
I've had the same experience where people who I know who've actually played it did like it. But yeah, it looks awful. I don't know.
Yeah, and I also didn't play Ultimate Spider-Man.
Which I did.
Well, I played the DS version, which probably doesn't count.
No, it's probably that's from what I've seen. It's a very, very different game.
Yeah,
it's like completely different game.
And then I didn't play Edge of Time.
I did.
But other than those three, I've played pretty. Or does Friend or Foe count?
Oh. I only played a demo for Friend. I always forget that Friend or Foe even exists.
Yeah, we played it together because the demo had online co-op, which was pretty cool.
That is really cool for a demo.
Yeah, and we both kind of agreed that it felt like a Lego game, just without Legos.
Yeah, with actual Spider. It's basically what if they made a Lego Spider-Man game, what it would probably have felt like at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, not an exciting thing, but not terrible.
Right. But that one probably more falls into the category of like kids games, so I guess it doesn't count like in the main line of Spider-Man games. So yeah. Other than Web of Shadows, Ultimate Spider-Man, and Edge of Time, I've played all the the major Spider-Man games.
Yeah, and other than Web of Shadows and Spider-Man 2, I've played all of them. So
You mean PS1 Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, the PS1 Spider-Man 2, yes.
Right. Inter-Electro.
Inter-Electro, yes. So instead of Inter-Electro and Web of Shadows, I guess to clarify.
Planetary.
Oh, no.
Electro.
You just did that. And so for me, I mean, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, which is why I've been doing that. But
right.
for me, like, there's been kind of this steady, like, line of the ways that they're improving these games each time. And I feel like because of that, this game didn't feel exactly all that special. I mean, I don't want to talk about this part too much, but like it felt a lot like the other games.
Should we say spoiler warning?
Oh yeah, we probably should, because we're probably going to talk about a lot of spoilers.
Yeah, so we've never cared about spoilers here even though I just refused to spoil Metal Gear Solid 5 a few minutes ago, but
that's true.
So anyway, in Metal Gear Solid 5, you're not playing as Big Boss. You're playing as some other random guy. Anyway, so we've never, like I said, we've never cared about spoilers, but most of the time we at least will warn you that there's spoilers. So if you're listening to this and you haven't played the game yet and you care about things that might happen or not happen in the story, then I guess stop listening and listen once you've beaten the story, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, anyway.
I definitely plan to give some spoilers eventually, but yeah.
Sure.
So anyway, to my point, like kind of what I was getting at, I guess the main thing I wanted to say about this point was that I don't get why suddenly people thought this game in particular looked so much better than every other Spider-Man game that's been coming out. Because like a lot of the people,
it's a PS4 exclusive, that's why.
Yeah, I mean that really seems to be the only reason. Because like everyone,
and also it was made by an actual developer, like with an actual, pedigree of good games, or at least well-received games.
Yes, I mean I suppose that it's Insomniac. Is that?
Yeah.
Who's so like the Ratchet and Clank people and
Sunset
Overdrive and some other games that people don't really care as much.
Yeah. Resistance and all that.
Yeah.
I always mix up Insomniac and Sucker Punch for some reason.
Yeah, that's why I had to ask, because I was thinking, I was like, wait,
I always forget which one made Infamous.
Yeah, and that's Sucker Punch. That's
right.
I was actually making that exact mistake. That's why I was confused when I was saying the name.
But I remember that because you had in Infamous 2, you could use the Sly Cooper's cane as your weapon. So
yes,
which I did.
Yeah. So, yeah. I guess that's enough to have pulled everyone's attention. I just feel like it's weird because if you were just watching the gameplay video, like I felt like the gameplay video doesn't look that much different from the two Amazing Spider-Man games. So I don't know why you would have like not played those.
Which is why personally I didn't want to see any more gameplay after I saw the first time they ever showed gameplay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, the actual gameplay doesn't really look different. I mean, I guess graphically it's better, I guess. And maybe it's a little smoother, but I just didn't want to see it. Because, I could tell, I mean, even if it's fun, I could tell that it was all pretty much going to be the same.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't need to see any more, because if I see more, I'm going to be tired of seeing it. And I could tell that was going to be a big majority of the game, and I don't want to be tired of looking at the game before I even play it.
Yeah. That was, and that was a large part of it for me, and also I actually didn't want to have any of the story spoiled for me. I really wanted to come into the story like fresh and see what they did with it. So that was another thing. Even though
it's always interesting when people take kind of like Arkham Asylum, where you take kind of an established lore and you kind of establish your own status quo with it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I mean. Having played all the way through the game now, I don't think I would have really minded much any spoilers. Right, yeah. But it was still nice getting into it fresh and not knowing what to expect. So,
right,
I'm not sorry that I did that. Definitely.
Yeah. So I guess just general impressions. I mean, overall, I mean, I it's a good game. I would give it a thumbs up. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely like it. There's definitely things that annoy me about it. A lot of the traversal stuff actually kind of bothers me. It took me a really long time because I played so much Spider-Man 2 for the PS2 that as soon as I pick up a free roaming Spider-Man game, I start trying to control it the same way. And it took me a really long time because in that game you had your left web when you were swinging around the city, your left web shooter on the L2 and your right web shooter on the R2, and it took me a really long time not to try to keep doing that. So I kept like doing it's not the web pool, but whatever the point launch thing.
The aim thing.
Yeah, I kept doing the aiming and the point launching like when I was not trying to at all, and I kept going the wrong direction.
I kind of liken the traversal more to Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it does feel like they were going for Assassin's
where
Creed.
You're just holding down R2 or right trigger. Well, I guess never right trigger for this game, but in Assassin's Creed, it would be R2 or right trigger. You just basically hold that down and press forward, and the character does whatever he needs to do to get around or over things.
Yeah, and which they intentionally built in, like the parkour mode, where you just kind of go forward holding R2, and it'll just jump over things for you. And yeah, and I actually do dislike that all the web swinging being on just R2 for the specific reason that in comics, whenever you see Spider-Man swinging around, he's always going kind of Tarzan style from like one web line to another, like letting go of the first and while he still has the second shot out and stuff, and like that you literally cannot do that in this game.
Right.
Which like that would help me have it feel more like Spider-Man to me, if you could. But it's not really like a complaint, because it's not really a problem. But,
right, it's just a preference. That's how the swinging was in Amazing Spider-Man 2 also.
Yeah.
The swinging in that game was awesome.
Yeah,
that's about the only good thing about that game.
Yeah, just traversing around that city, that's probably some of the most fun I've had. And I love Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man 2 for PS2, the traversal in that, but I think Amazing Spider-Man 2, that's pretty much the only thing it got better than that game, was just going around that city was really fun.
Yeah, it's just the city sucked.
Yeah. And pretty much everything about that game sucked. And I was so excited. Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, this kind of goes into our first bullet point here, where I think we were just going to talk about the basics of the gameplay first, and what our thoughts of it were. I mean, we're already talking about it, but I just thought I would introduce this as that portion of the discussion.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that, like, I was really excited about Amazing Spider-Man 2 because of everything that was being shown before the game came out. It looked like it was basically like an improved version of the first Amazing game, but with completely free roaming. And that was really not the case. And so one of the reasons I was really hesitant about this game is because the early gameplay that we watched, was it basically looked like Amazing Spider-Man 2, only how it was intended to work and not how it actually worked. And that made me concerned that it was I was gonna like go into the game and it was gonna feel like Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it looked so awesome in the previews, and then it didn't really work out so great once you actually played the game.
Right. Yeah, well, the main difference, at least visually, I mean, other than graphic quality, obviously, would be you know, like in the Amazing Games, you remember how close the camera was?
Yes.
Behind Spider-Man when you're swinging.
Yeah, that was weird. Like,
Yeah,
you couldn't see where you were swinging to.
Yeah, that was definitely a lot better in this game. You were kind of the perfect distance from him.
Yeah, I agree. The mechanics of like getting around though, they did kind of annoy the piss out of me. I'm trying not to swear too much, I guess.
Oh, I don't care.
Because if you were like trying to move quickly and whatever happened, you got like stuck to the wall, you were like stuck there. Like, there was like, it took forever to like try to get off of that wall. Like, I had to like stand there and like just pound the freaking jump button before he would finally like jump. And sometimes he wouldn't, and I'd have to like hit the circle, like the dodge button, in order to like get him to like fake a dodge or something.
You're
like,
talking about in this game, right?
In this game, yeah.
Yeah. I would always just instinctively hit the circle button because whenever that would happen and the jump button didn't work the first time, I would just always dodge off of the wall from then on.
Yeah. So that's what I ended up doing, and that bothered the heck out of me, especially on some of the like Taskmaster challenges. Like, because you're trying. God, they're so unforgiving if you're trying to get the highest score on them. They're just like so incredibly unforgiving, and it's so easy to just go in the wrong direction completely, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on a wall, and then it's like, why are you on this wall? Get off the wall, and he won't get off the wall.
Yeah,
and which is so weird too, because like when I was trying to do like the pictures and stuff, I would often try to get up on a wall so I could like, or the backpacks. When I was trying to get the backpacks, I'd often like trying to get up on the wall to like just kind of wall crawl up to the backpack, and like for whatever reason he would just never stick to the freaking wall that I wanted him to when I was trying to actually have him stick to a wall. So like, he either refuses to stick to a wall or he refuses to unstick from the wall. Like,
right.
That was driving me crazy a lot in this game.
Yeah, I see. I started doing the pictures, the landmark pictures, like while I was in the air, because like I don't want to try to land to do this picture, so I would try to just like do it in midair.
Yeah,
while I was swinging, just go into camera mode real quick, because it slows down time or whatever when you pull out the camera, so you got time to try to take a picture.
Yeah, when you hit L2 and you do like the zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of that, definitely, with the landmarks.
And sometimes, like, it wouldn't be the picture of the thing at all, but it would still be green. It's like, okay, I don't care.
See, yeah, I was kind of a perfectionist about it. I tried not only to get like the landmark in the picture, but to get like a good picture of it. I was assuming that I haven't even checked if it's one of the things that collects, but I was assuming that like you would be able to view them afterwards and go back and look at all your pictures, and so I wanted to be able to like actually see the thing that I was shooting, but I'm just a weird perfectionist that way, I guess.
What do you think of the combat?
The combat is really strong for the most part.
It takes a lot of getting used to.
It took me a lot of getting used to. At first I was like, I think I even said to you, I was like, either the combat is really weird or I'm really, really bad at it.
Yeah.
Because like I was dying a lot in the early parts of the game because of just like stupid mistakes, that I wasn't sure if it was just me not doing the right. Well, I mean, it was me not doing the right thing, but I felt like a lot of times I was doing things that should have worked, but whatever reason weren't. And I think, I think you can learn to get past that problem, and I think I have, because I like never die anymore. I rarely even get like that injured.
Yeah,
but it's I think you kind of had to learn how to. I think the game didn't work like kind of what my mind considers logically. I guess I was expecting to work kind of like the Arkham fighting system. Yes. And it is actually very different, which I do appreciate that they went kind of a different route with it.
Yeah, but I would still kind of instinctively hit triangle sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
when I meant to dodge, and it would end up doing, a web zip when I didn't want to do one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a big problem for me at the beginning. I was trying to do, and especially with the Amazing Spider-Man games, I think they pretty much had the exact same fighting layout as the Arkham games. So I think that probably made it harder for me to get used to this fighting system. But I actually like, especially once you have a lot of the power-ups and the different like web gadgets and stuff, like the fighting can get really fun.
Yeah, and you get pretty untouchable pretty fast.
That's true.
If you're actually upgrading stuff.
Yeah. And that's one of the problems. Like, I didn't start using the gadgets until like really close to the end of the game, and
I was using them a lot, but I hadn't upgraded any of them really a whole lot until like almost. Actually, I think I'd already beaten the game. I think I did it when I was just trying to get, because I was like checking the trophy list, and I was like, oh, I could get that trophy. I'll just go upgrade some gadgets.
Yeah,
that's science for the win or whatever trophy.
Right. Yeah, I did get most of them upgraded actually before the end of the game. But it was really close to the end of the game before I started upgrading them at all.
Right.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I mean, putting them all together, like putting all the different mechanics of the fighting system together, it can get really fun, especially once you have the abilities and the gear and stuff.
Yeah, like I hated clearing those, like the whatchamacallits, I guess the bases and the demon hideouts and things like that. Like, I hated clearing those like at first, but then as the game went on, I started enjoying it more and more, because I guess it started getting, like you said, I guess just more and more manageable. I guess like at first I thought it was impossible.
Yeah.
To like do one of those. I was like, oh my god, I have to do 6 waves of these fucking enemies, and like it's just it just gets more. A lot more manageable, the more stuff you do. So. Yeah,
I mean, the very first one you do, like, in the story itself, actually, I think. And, I remember just being like, oh my god, this is lasting forever. It's taking so long. I'm going to have to do more of these. This is awful. And then, like, just today, I'd actually been going out, clearing out the last few bases. And, like, a lot of the times it'd be like, whoa, it's already done.
Yeah.
And they're like pretty much all the same number of waves, but just like, it gets like, so much easier to deal with.
Yeah, like towards the end, like once you're powered up and everything, it's just like you go through those waves so fast.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I'm already on wave 4, and you've been doing the base for like 20 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been crazy. And what I do like also that you could start the bases with stealth. And so you could actually like clear out the first wave pretty much.
It was
entirely
really hard
stealth.
to do that, though.
It is really hard to do that, but as I've mentioned on the podcast many times before, I really love stealth action games. So them including that in Spider-Man games is always something I look for, and I really appreciated that they included it. And it's just really fun for me to like do that in this game.
So since we've kind of naturally transitioned, I guess we can go to the next bullet point here, which is the side content, the side missions and quests, things like that. So yeah, we talked about the bases. We touched a little bit on the challenges. How did you like the stealth challenges?
The stealth challenges were like the only ones I intentionally sought out. The rest of them I did like.
And there's only like a couple of them. It sucks. Like,
yeah.
I wish there was way more.
Yeah, I hope that if they add more challenges into the game, in like the DLC or something, that they mostly just add the stealth challenges.
Yeah,
because that's what I really like.
Because the other ones are all pretty much the same.
Yeah,
I mean, you had like, well, I don't even remember. They were combat and drone challenges.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the drone ones. We had to follow the stupid drones around.
Yeah, they were basically like races. And then the bomb challenges.
That's right. Okay, I guess they weren't all the same. I guess the combat challenges were just really similar to the bases, I guess is what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I guess let me pause here real quick to just apologize. I think this is the first podcast we've done since I've had a dog, so there will probably be some barking in the background because I can't really control that.
It's at least the first one that you've had a dog where we're gonna actually upload the episode.
Yes, so there we go. Let me just apologize to any listeners hearing weird barking in the background. That's my dog.
I don't even hear anything, so I think I barely heard one a minute ago.
Okay, well, she's probably gonna go crazy for a little while. But yeah, so anyway, the challenges. Did you like the combat challenges?
I didn't have anything against them, I guess. They're kind of easy.
Yeah, just kind of more of the same combat stuff.
Yeah, they were just kind of like, it was kind of like doing one of the crimes.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, that's basically all. It just felt like another one of the crimes, as opposed to the drone and the bomb challenges. The drones were definitely my least favorite challenges.
Oh God, yeah.
Those
I think I even enjoyed that even less than the catching the pigeons.
Yeah, I didn't really mind the catching the pigeons that much. They were usually pretty easy to catch.
Yeah.
So I have one pigeon left, and it's because every time I go to the spot, it just like the thing won't start. I don't know if it's glitched or if I have to.
Is it the one that's like way up in the air?
No, I did get one that was like way at the top of like the Empire State Building or something.
Yeah.
I got that.
It took me forever to get that one to trigger. Like, I don't know why, but I finally got it.
Right.
So I've, just for disclosure here for anybody listening, I've actually 100%ed the game, or at least done all of the side things. There's a couple of things I haven't collected yet, which I don't know why it tells you 100%ed it, but
100% of the things that are actually tracked.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And Ramsey's probably kind of close to it.
I'm very, very close. I have like one base left, like 3 side missions, and that pigeon.
So you actually did all the research stations?
Yeah, I've done all the research stations.
Oh my God, that's impressive.
Is it?
It's impressive that you did that before you actually had other things to finish.
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever I came across a research station, I usually just did it. And so I just ended up having most of them done.
They're so boring.
Pretty quickly. They are pretty boring. I can't think of any of them that I actually liked. And a couple of them were like really annoying because you were like, oh, the freaking lightning strike one?
Yeah, that's the last one, right?
I really hated that one.
Yeah.
But the rest of them were mostly okay. I mean,
it was pretty generous, though, about letting you sort of pick up kind of close to where you died, I guess.
Oh, I
don't
think I died on any of them.
Oh, really? You didn't die on the lightning strike one?
No, I came really close, but I don't think I actually died.
I mean, you could only get hit 3 times.
Yeah, I did. Once I got hit the second time, I think I had like some focus build up right at the start, and I got struck like right at the start. So I actually think I got hit 3 times, healed once.
Well, I think my issue was that I don't ever read things that pop up on games, even though you're probably supposed to because they tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And you know how it tells you, oh, leave the area so you don't get struck by lightning. Well, I was just trying to like dodge the lightning.
Yeah.
And that didn't work. So.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do the first 2 times, and it kept being like, leave the area to avoid being struck, and I was like, what area? What are you talking about? And I finally noticed on the mini-map that there's like a little green circle, right, so I just stayed out of that as much as I could whenever like the for the rest of the time.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it was so that one was so long too.
Yeah, because you had to go across the entire island, like I think even without web swinging. And like to every single research station in order to readjust the freaking satellites on them. Oh, it took forever.
Yeah. Speaking of not being able to web swing, which one was that where you were invisible and you couldn't use your webs?
Yeah, that was a research station, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were like drones. There were drones Oscorp drones
Right.
that would fire at someone if they were within a certain range. So you had to like
Yeah.
turn invisible, and while you were invisible, you can web swing, and you had to get out. And they were flying around, so like you had to like somehow web swing from really far away and just launch yourself.
And then turn invisible while you're going through the little cone of vision thing.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was a pretty fun one. I mean, in terms of how fun those research missions were.
Yeah. It was definitely a very different kind of challenge to anything else in the game.
See, I thought you were going to be able to be invisible the rest of the game when I first did that. Like, I thought you were going to be able to keep that.
I thought it was at least going to unlock a suit where you could turn invisible.
Yeah, or a suit power or whatever.
Yeah, as like the suit power or something, but no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I was like, man, that's going to make this game really easy.
Yeah, that's true. It would have. That would have made like stealth stuff like really, really easy. I guess there is one suit that actually you are invisible to enemies that aren't alerted. So you can like walk right up to them in like the stealth missions and stuff. But only if the suit power is active, which I never used the suit power in a stealth mission.
Right, yeah. Let's see, what other side things were there? So you said you have a couple side quests left. So which side quests have you done? I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't done some of them.
I don't know. I've done a lot. Though I can tell you that definitely there's one that's going to involve Tombstone that I haven't done yet. I mean, but it's clearly focused on Tombstone. Actually,
Yeah.
That reminds me because when you first learn about Tombstone in the game, you also learn about Alchemax. Like you see the Alchemax containers, and I really really like that because I don't know if anyone's read Superior Spider-Man, then you know that Allen Chemical combines with another company. I don't remember what the other company is actually. But they combined together to make Alchemax, and Alchemax is the futuristic, evil, owns everything corporation from the Spider-Man 2099 series. So I really loved their little tip of the hat to Alchemax in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, Tombstone actually has a whole line of quests, so it's not just the first one. There's actually a couple more that'll unlock after that.
Yeah, I've done at least one of them. So I'm at least on the second one. So
I kind of wish there were more side villains. I mean, there's a couple. Have you found the other one yet?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Well, I
don't
mean,
want to say too much, but
I
mean, I don't know if you would care.
I fought Taskmaster.
Well, yeah, that's from the challenges, but I mean, like, there's one side quest with another sort of villain, like female villain. I'm not talking about Black Cat.
Well, I guess not then, because
Okay. She's definitely not anybody major. It's pretty minor.
Okay.
But anyway. But other than that one, Taskmaster, Tombstone, and I don't know if you would count Black Cat as a side villain. She's never in the game, but
Yeah.
But I would just kind of, because like in the Arkham games, there were like a bunch of, side quests that you never even had to do that would involve villains.
Yeah.
And there was usually seemed like there was quite a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all the side quests in the Arkham games, at least I'm pretty sure the side quest in Arkham Knight, like, basically they were all just chains that led you to a supervillain fight.
Yeah.
And
now I might be mixing up what was in the original game with the content from the Season of Infamy, because that added a lot more of those side quest chains.
Yeah.
But there was like what's his name? Calendar Man? Was that Arkham Knight or was that Arkham City?
Calendar Man was in City and Night, but only briefly, I think.
But which one was the one where you had to like turn on the game on every holiday to get the achievement. That was Arkham City, right?
That was Arkham City.
And I just changed the calendar on my system to get.
Yeah, that's what I did. You had to like disconnect from the internet though in order to do that. Yeah, I remember that was Arkham City, but yeah.
But that's right. He actually did things in Arkham Knight. Like things actually happened outside of his jail cell. You didn't just go to his jail cell to talk to him.
Yeah, I think so.
I think. What about the Hush missions? Was that in the game or was that Season of Infamy?
That was in the game. That was actually kind of lame because I think it was like a quick time event, and you just like hit the quick time event and like just like threw a batarang at him or something.
Well, I mean, he's just a regular guy.
That's true.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, just in terms of the quests, not necessarily the fights themselves.
Yeah.
But of course, we're not talking about Arkham Knight, so I mean, I guess we shouldn't go into too much detail. But anyway,
the main point is that all the side stuff led to you at least seeing a supervillain or villain from
right,
Batman's
having some kind of interaction with them.
Yeah, and Spider-Man has like one of the best rogue galleries, so it would have been really cool to see more of his villains. Even if it's just like a side thing.
They have a lot, I guess, in the game, but you fight two of them at a time.
Yeah.
Which is and they're kind of all at the end of the story, which I guess we can get into once we start talking about the story. But yeah, seeing some more villains would have definitely been cool. But I guess they're saving some for I guess if there's going to be a sequel. Did you see the two end credit scenes, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just checking. But we'll talk about those when we talk about the story. But anyway, if you even want to, if there's anything to discuss,
I think we can discuss it.
Yeah. Okay. So. Is there any? Oh, I guess we talk about collectibles. You seemed pretty underwhelmed by the unlockables in the game.
Yeah, well, it bothered me because inevitably I'm going to compare any free roam Spider-Man game to Spider-Man 2 for PS2 / original Xbox / GameCube. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the default for everyone because that was the first one that did it, first of all, and it did it so much better than pretty much every game that's come since until possibly this one. But one thing that I really enjoyed about all the the hidden tokens and skyscraper tokens and buoy tokens and all of that is not only was it just fun to go and find them and collect them all, but you actually got rewarded for all of them. There was a specific reward for doing each one of those things, even if it was just like a new ability. I think the fastest swing speed unlocked if you got all the skyscraper tokens, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so I was just kind of hoping with this game that there would be a reward for doing each of the side quests, but usually... Or collectibles or whatever, but usually the reward was like experience points or like just the sake of doing them in the first place, which I mean is fine because I enjoyed doing them for the most part, except for those freaking drone missions. But I was just kind of hoping that there'd be at least something like a new ability, a faster swing speed, a faster wall run, something for doing these things. And for the most part, most of them, there's not really anything. I mean, there is a suit for the backpacks, but that might be about it. Oh, I guess you get
and the black cat, statuettes or whatever they're called.
You get a suit for the black cat, but it has no suit power, which I thought was really weird.
Right. Well, neither does the backpack one.
Oh, does it not? I couldn't remember.
Well, no, because it's that homemade suit.
Ah. So that doesn't have a... Yeah, because I know there's at least 2 suits that have no suit powers, and I just don't understand why they'd have a suit without suit powers. It just seems really strange.
Have you seen the suit that you get for 100%ing the game?
I have not, but I feel like I can tell kind of what it's going to be.
Oh, yeah, so you at least have the little preview of it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's just him in his mask and his underwear.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's...
And the suit power for that is, I think it's called the Equalizer, where you kill everybody in one hit, but you also die in one hit.
Wow. That actually sounds kind of fun. Maybe I should... Yeah. Oh, wait, I can't... Well, I guess you can go replay the bases. So maybe I should go replay a base after I get that power. Just to
Well,
see.
there's still crimes that pop up after you've 100%ed. So
Yeah, I just mean like it might be fun to do like a big fight with that power.
yeah, sure.
Probably die a lot. Probably mostly die.
Yeah, but just do it just for
Just to
the fun
see.
of it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wear that suit to use the suit power.
That's true. That's true. That I do like that because mostly I wanted to go around in like the Spider-Man 2099 outfit or something, you know. And
Dude, that suit was awesome in this game.
Yeah.
Except it didn't have like the little electrically current thing going on it.
yeah,
Like, you remember in Amazing 2 how when you got that suit it had like the little electric things going on it?
yeah, and that looked really really cool.
Yeah. But this one is just a shiny suit.
Yeah, which I mean, there. Not that I remember. There's like not really an indication for why it would have an electrical thing and from the comics, but it looked really cool.
Yeah.
So
Do you? I feel like the suits in this game are pretty much the same suits that are always in like newer Spider-Man games.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, obviously I think there was a couple different ones because now we have the Spider-Man Marvel Cinematic Universe movies to draw from.
Yeah,
And plus, I think this game just had more unlockable costumes than the past couple of games have had, just in general.
yeah. It might have the most since the original Neversoft Spider-Man.
Yeah. But I liked the unlockable suits. It was fun. I always just used whatever suit I had most recently unlocked, so I was changing suits all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind them reusing suits. Honestly, I'm totally fine with it, and I just love having them. That's unlockable stuff like that is what really gets me into a video game. So I mean,
Right.
I feel free to reuse suits as much as you want. Just put them in there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I mean, other unlockables or collectibles, I guess we kind of covered everything. The backpacks are really fun. Like, that was one of the first things I wanted to complete because it was just really cool seeing what was in all the backpacks.
Yeah.
Just the little bits of Spider-Man lore. So I wanted to add, well, I guess we can get into this in the story part. I guess we're almost done with the side part, but did you? It was funny, the backpack that explained why he had all those backpacks. When he it was the trophy from like the Kingpin's or the Wilson Fisk
Yes.
the science award or whatever.
Right.
And he was like, I didn't take the money, but I took the lifetime supply of backpacks.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you needed it apparently.
Apparently, yeah. There were some backpacks that were in like places where it's like, how is this still here?
Right. And how did he forget where all these backpacks were?
Yeah. I mean, there was one that was like on top of a crane or something like that. It was like the workmen never like went and got that down or anything.
Yeah,
Like,
so that crane was there when you were in high school
Yeah.
years ago?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny. Let's see. Black Cat stuff was kind of I was just disappointed that you never got Black Cat in the game.
Yeah.
Although apparently the first DLC chapter they're going to release is centered around Black Cat, so
Oh, so maybe that's why.
yeah. So that'll be cool to see Black Cat in that, I guess.
Yeah.
And hopefully have some more stealth challenges.
Yeah, hopefully. So,
Let's see. I guess, yeah, we already talked about challenges and the bases, side quests. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much everything as far as side stuff goes. So, overall, I mean, what's your general impression of the side content? I mean, do you approve or disapprove?
I think mostly approve. I mean,
Yeah.
I was annoyed by some of it, and some of it was like really bad. But like for the most part, it was just I enjoy collection stuff in video games. So
I appreciate that it's there.
yeah,
Even if it's not super awesome.
yeah, and some of it is really fun. You know,
Yeah,
so
it is.
like it's totally fine. I think they did a good job. There's a lot of side stuff. There's like a perfectly good amount of side stuff. I like that some of it's like active and some of it's stuff that you have to activate, and so there's a good mix, good different types, and so yeah, I approve.
Yeah, pretty much agree with all that. Just in general, I really enjoy doing it just for the sake of, doing it, but just, talking about the substance of it. Obviously, it's not perfect, but, nothing's perfect. But, I'm glad they did something, and they did a lot. So
Yeah.
they didn't just do a couple things like, oh, well, now we can say they're side missions.
Yeah.
Like, there's actually legitimate side missions, and then there's actual collectibles. Like, I'm glad both of those things, exist.
Exactly.
So there you go. I guess we can get into the story now.
Okay.
So, like we said at the beginning, or I guess in the middle of this episode, but at the beginning of when we started talking about this, they're kind of taking an established lore, like we said, and sort of setting up their own status quo. So what's your, I guess, overall general opinions of the status quo that is established?
I thought it was kind of a little bit confusing because I think they specifically said that he's been Spider-Man for like 10 years.
I said 8 years.
8 years,
Yeah.
Which is still a really long time, and like they're kind of saying that he's only had about like 6 supervillains prior to this point, and like most of the major supervillains that he's faced don't exist yet in this universe.
Right.
Which is, I don't know how much we want to talk about Brand New Day just yet. But I guess to a little bit compare that to Brand New Day, which was sort of the same thing.
At least the first volume.
Yeah, like the idea there was that pretty much all the events of Spider-Man's history had still happened. They just happened a little differently. So like pretty much all the supervillains were still there. They just their current status might be.
It's kind of like Brand New Day's kind of like a New 52 sort of.
Yeah, where things still vaguely happen, mostly the same way, but they could like kind of remove the parts they didn't like.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So other than the villains that were actually in the game, we did see. Did you like the Halloween party section? I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved that. The little old school villain costumes.
Yeah. So you get obviously the Lizard exists in this world.
Yes.
And Mysterio.
Yeah.
But Mysterio we gathered from the backpacks because I had already collected that backpack before I did the Halloween party thing.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, so they weren't in the game, so they exist, I guess. So I guess he's fought them. And then the villains that were in the game were Rhino, Shocker, Scorpion, Vulture, Electro. Those were like the ones that already existed.
Yeah.
And then through the events of the game, you get or I guess Mr. Negative already existed. He just hadn't been revealed yet.
Yeah, this was like his coming out story as a villain.
Yeah. Like Spider-Man had never faced him. So,
yeah.
And then we get the ultimate eventual creation of Dr. Octopus. Which I honestly, when I first started playing the game, I really wasn't sure they were gonna do that in this game because like I remember my first thought being like, oh man, that'd be cool if we get Dr. Octopus in the next game.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, they're already doing it now. Okay.
Yeah, I was
because like I thought Mr. Negative was the main villain of the game, and that's kind of one of my complaints. I guess we're kind of jumping all over the place, but it's okay. We don't have to go sequentially through the whole story, but like Mr. Negative is built up to be like the main villain, and then he just ends up being kind of a lackey.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's kind of too powerful to just be a lackey.
Yeah. I mean, like, the fight with him on the train was like a really long fight. It's like, this guy is really strong. And, most of this was like his thing. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but like, you know, he was the one all set forth about Osborn and everything. But yeah, I thought it was weird too that he just didn't seem like it fit for him to be a lackey of someone else.
Yeah, because like Dr. Octopus comes in and just kind of takes over the whole plan.
Yeah.
You know, he just, you know, when you're 90% through the game, Octavius just decides to become a villain.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm going to take this over now.
And what's odd about it is it seems like they're kind of suggesting that he's been coordinating this whole thing the entire time. And, like, that doesn't really make sense because he was, like, not a villain earlier. So,
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
I mean, his mind wasn't corrupted until he put on the arms. So,
Yeah.
which happens really late in the game.
And I mean, I guess they're trying to suggest that he's always been kind of a bad dude who's trying to do the good things or something. But like, I don't know. It definitely seems like the arms and the like the nerve stuff in his brain like messes with his brain. Like, it definitely seems like that happened because he really just feels like he changes personality at that point in the story. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can tell it's kind of gradual, I guess, but then I don't know. It's like they couldn't decide if they wanted it to be a gradual descent, like into madness, or if they wanted it to be 100% because of the whatever in the arms.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so how'd you like the Doc Ock boss fight?
The Doc Ock boss fight, I did think was pretty good. It was definitely a different way of handling a boss fight than I feel like I've seen in a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure what to say exactly beyond that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it wasn't something like blew my mind like, oh, this is the greatest boss fight ever, because like I really don't feel like it was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it felt like, I mean, it was a good boss fight. I liked the way they handled it. I think it really worked well for what they were going for. It wasn't amazing, but
right. It was better than the Rhino and Scorpion fight.
Yeah, the Rhino and Scorpion fight is probably the boss fight I liked the least. It was kind of annoying, honestly, which was surprising. Because it followed immediately after the Electro and Vulture fight, which is probably one of my all-time favorite boss fights now.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was so great. It was so much fun, and it was one of the only things this game does that literally no other Spider-Man game I can think of has done, and that's have that like overwhelming two supervillains at once feeling that you get a lot in the Spider-Man comics.
Right.
And still him able to handle it and like, because I kind of kicked butt in that fight. You know, like I don't think I died. I did it really well, and it was just so much fun to play it that way and have that like total 3D, you know, just coming from all directions and going up and down, left and right and everything. And
yeah, I think the Rhino and Scorpion fight should have been before that.
Yeah, I think so. Because it was less impressive and less exciting. Just
maybe that's kind of what they were thinking. Maybe they're like, let's give the players a break on this fight, since that last one was kind of hectic.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was going to get into, a few minutes ago. I was saying all the villains are kind of all packed in at the end of this game.
Yes, they really are.
You don't really do a lot of boss fights. I mean, unless you want to count Kingpin at the beginning, and then the one Mr. Negative fight you have in the middle somewhere.
And there actually is, and it seems like you've forgotten about it, which is not surprising. There is a fight with a Shocker in a bank, and it's really not that impressive because it's over so quickly. Like, normally you feel like there's like long stages to a boss fight, and like it kind of felt like it was gonna do that, but then it was just like over.
Yeah, it's just over. When you feel like it's gonna go to the next stage, it just ends.
Yeah. So that
I thought like the Doc Ock fight was really long. I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but I felt like I just kept doing the same thing like 10 times.
It was definitely fairly long.
Which is fine if they're going to change it up, but I just felt like I was doing the same thing over and 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 over again.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I doing something wrong here? Like, am I supposed to be doing something else?
Yeah, I remember I felt the same way, actually, definitely. That there was
like,
after a while.
Is there something else that's supposed to trigger the next stage of this fight?
Because there have been games like that where like you have to do a specific thing or else you just keep doing the fight, right. Starting over in the fight, and that is definitely what this felt like for a while.
Yeah.
What did you think of the second Mr. Negative fight?
You mean the one that's like towards the end of the game?
Yeah.
Like in the cluster with all the other fights?
Yes.
I guess it was pretty similar to the first one, but kind of on another scale, I guess.
Yeah, I remember just thinking it was basically the Ra's al Ghul fight from Arkham City.
Yeah, you're right.
It was, I mean, like, even to the point where, like, he was creating, like, you were on this, like, weird plane of, like mental plane or something, and you were fighting, like, all these, like, other versions of himself, and he made, like, a giant version of himself. I was like, this all happened in Arkham City when you were fighting Ra's al Ghul. Or Ra's al Ghul, or whatever you want to...
Or however you pronounce it, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, it's... I guess I've fought less fun bosses. I've fought better bosses. I don't know.
Yeah. I just mostly wanted to point out that it was like that fight.
yeah, it definitely was. But speaking of weird mental planes, did you like the part where you're, like, poisoned by Scorpion?
I mean, that was kind of cool. That was like something straight out of the Arkham games, it felt like to me, for the most part. I mean, but I kind of like those a bit in video games because they do give you kind of a chance to, like, go into character motivations and stuff that in a video game is a little hard to address.
That and give you kind of different looking surroundings for a little bit.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, I thought it was cool with like the giant scorpion tail monster things.
Yeah, those are interesting.
Okay, so how did you feel about the non-Spider-Man parts? The parts where you're not playing as Spider-Man.
Yeah, those were... the first time it happened, when you play as Mary Jane in the museum, like I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, the first couple I liked.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of cool. And then it just felt like it started doing it a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely did it too much. By the end, especially when I was... Because towards the end of the game, I was kind of trying to like get to the end of the game, mainly so we could do this podcast, but also because I just really wanted to beat the game.
Yeah, just that's how I got kind of towards the end. I was like, I really just want the main story to be over so I can focus on everything else.
Yeah, and like towards the end, I was getting really sick of doing those. I was like again, God.
Yeah, I started like audibly yelling out like, no, fuck, like every time I could tell one was about to start. Like, damn it. Like, you can kind of tell when a cutscene switches from a cutscene to a game engine.
Yeah.
Like, whenever that would happen, I would just, ugh.
I'd be like, oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, you could really kind of feel it coming, definitely, in this game. You could be like, oh, this is going to get to one of those points where it switches, isn't it? Oh, it is. Oh, man. So, yeah. And is this where we talk about one of the people that you play as?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we talk about both. The MJ parts, it took me longer to get tired of those.
Yeah.
But I still did get tired of them.
Yeah.
I don't think I was really sick of it until like, the one I really actually did think was cool was where you're MJ, but like you see Spider-Man,
yes,
come into the station, and he's like going all around, and you're telling him where to attack and stuff.
Yeah, that was actually really cool.
That was pretty cool. But I guess it was the MJ mission, whichever one was before that, where I was tired of playing as her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty much always tired of playing as Miles.
And because, you can't do anything modern Spider-Man without referencing Miles Morales anymore.
That's why when you messaged me and you were like, oh, gee, you think they made it obvious enough that Miles' dad is in the game? And I was like, oh, God, you think that's bad? Just wait. I didn't want to say anything. That's why I was like, yeah, I guess.
And as soon as he was in the game, I was like, oh, this is obviously Miles' dad. I was like, oh man, they're gonna put Miles in the game, aren't they? And I figured as soon as you were like, I don't want to say anything. I was like, yep, they put Miles in the game.
Yeah. They didn't go as far as I thought they would.
Yeah.
I was really worried that at some point you were actually going to be Miles Spider-Man.
I really, especially how the story was going towards the end, I really thought they were going to Red Dead Redemption us.
And kill Peter, and then you had to play as Miles for the rest of the game.
Yes. And do like all the mopping up stuff afterwards as Miles. I really thought that's what was going to happen.
I'm really glad that didn't happen. Okay, here's my problem with... I'll go over my problem with Miles generally, and then my problem with Miles in this game.
Right.
Because it's two different problems. My problem with Miles in general, let's just assume that it's totally cool that there's two Spider-Men, okay?
Yeah.
My main problem with Miles, just as a character, is that his name is Spider-Man. That's kind of my main problem.
Yeah.
It's like, why does he have to have the same name as the real Spider-Man?
Yeah. Well,
like, why can't he just? I don't know what else you'd call him, but
apparently they call him Kid Arachnid a lot now that he's in the 616.
I don't really like that either.
But that's not really a better name. And they can't call him Aranya.
El Aranya.
That's already taken.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's, like, I'm not bothered by there being more than one Spider-Man, certainly, because there's been more than one Spider-Man, like, pretty much my entire life, because the Clone Saga started when, like, early 90s or something.
Yes.
And so...
There's been multiple Spider-Men for a long time. It's just Miles is always involved with Peter, whereas all the other people who are clones of Peter are kind of off just doing their own thing that there's never stories about.
Yeah.
except for the Scarlet Spider comic that was set in Houston. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Which is H-Town.
Yeah.
But which is where we're from, if you can't tell. Yeah, I mean, my initially, like, I don't want to, like, hate on Miles too much. Like, my initial problem with him was just that he was created in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, which was like the Ultimate Spider-Man universe the Ultimate Universe existed literally just to kind of reboot all the Marvel stories, and just kind of tell the same stories using the same characters, but update them for a modern audience. And then they decided to completely go against that stream by killing Spider-Man and creating a new Spider-Man that never existed before. And, like, honestly, if they had created him anywhere else, I think it would have been a better move. But I guess they were afraid that they would create him somewhere else, and then, like, many of the other Spider-Man characters spider-like characters that been created over the years, he would just kind of get ignored and no one would pay attention. So I guess by using the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, they knew they would have a platform with, like, thousands of readers already paying attention. So
right. Yeah, see, that's kind of something I never thought about before. That's interesting. Like, they could have introduced him in 616 universe just regularly, and then I don't think it would have been as jarring for people to kill Peter and replace him with Miles in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
Like, if Miles already existed. I mean, people would have still been mad that Peter died, but I don't think it would have been as big of a deal as it was.
Yeah. Because then if you're using a character that already existed in the 616 universe, then I'm totally for it. You know, it's like, this is, you're doing stuff playing around with the original universe. But that they just decided to create a completely new character for this universe that is literally just, like, retelling of things and reworking of things. So
and that kind of gets me into my point of my problem with Miles, specifically in this game. Mm-hmm. So Miles is only Spider-Man in the comics because he's from another universe. Like, that, those events never happen in the same universe where Peter Parker lives, or at least where the main Peter Parker lives, I guess. You know, they never happen in the same universe.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yes.
like if there's a universe where they both already exist, then Miles wouldn't ever be Spider-Man. So it's like, why that just makes it seem more forced. Like okay, well, we got to include Miles in this because, like you said, it's a modern Spider-Man story. So we got to include Miles, which means we got to force in his origin somewhere, and they totally did.
Yeah. And it's so obvious. There's like so many points where they're like, he's gonna be Spider-Man. Like, even if you didn't know who Miles Morales was, like, there's so many points. Like the amount of attention they give to him, even though like a lot of the times it makes no sense for them to be doing it. Like it's just so obvious that it's like he's gonna be Spider-Man or a Spider-Man. You know.
Now, yeah, and it's like, how long was MJ carrying that spider around and it never bit her?
Yeah, seriously.
Like that Spider-Man, that spider was just like down her shirt like all day and like never bit her. But then like Miles barely brushes against it and it bites him.
Yeah, seriously. Like I honestly, with her
Spider MJ would have been way cooler.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. Like I honestly thought they were like gonna fake us out and have it bite MJ.
Yeah, so we could kind of get like a version of Spider-Gwen, but like Spider MJ.
Spider MJ. That probably would have been much cooler. And I mean, they could have still done a Miles Morales Spider-Man like a second game or something, but like that would have been so much more interesting to see.
That's so okay. So Goblin, there's never been a Green Goblin in this universe. So where's Gwen Stacy?
You know,
Did she die some other way?
Really good question, actually. I was assuming that she was just dead, but I don't think she's so much as mentioned. They
never mention her, yeah.
So that's actually a really good point. I guess they just didn't want to like talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just like Spider-Man storytellers in general are trying to move past Gwen Stacy because it's been like 40 years now since she's been alive in a comic?
Yeah, but right now Gwen's like everywhere. I mean, she's Spider-Gwen, she's Gwenpool, you know.
That's true. That's right.
And Gwen Stacy's really trend. Did I say Spacey? Gwen Spacey. Gwen Stacy is really trendy right now.
That's true. And I have to say, I've read the Spider-Gwen comic, and I actually really, really like it.
See, I would love if it was Gwen in the game instead of Miles, and she got bit,
and we did Spider-Gwen. That would be awesome.
I know.
Oh man, that would be great. Yeah, I would love that too. I'm all for that.
But anyway, I think though I prefer this approach to Miles over. Now this has taken me a lot of time because if I didn't feel like I was so close to the end of the game, I probably would have stopped playing. Like when the spider actually bit Miles,
right?
And I was like, "Fuck this," you know. Like I said, I'd been letting all the Miles stuff slide until that.
Yeah,
and that I was like, "Fuck this story. I hate it. This is stupid. Fuck this." It's like this is the first Spider-Man game in this world. Like, can we just focus on that? Why do we have to worry about the origin of another Spider-Man?
Yeah,
you know. And I almost stopped playing, but I was like, I'm pretty close to the end. Oh well, I'll just play it. I'll just finish it. But since then, I've kind of come around. Like I definitely feel a lot differently than I did initially. But anyway, like I was going to say that I prefer this approach to Miles as opposed to him kind of coming in from a different universe already as an established Spider-Man. I kind of like it being approached this way where like Peter's going to train him and stuff. Like I think that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or at least cooler than how Miles actually is.
Yeah. So now this allows him to be more like, like Robin, instead of like just some other dude who also has Spider-Man powers,
Right. Yeah.
It's like this will be like the first time Spider-Man gets to have like a sidekick, and I'm sure he'll make plenty of jokes about it if they do that for the second game, if they make a second game.
Oh, I'm sure they'll make another game.
I really
this one's pretty successful.
This one's pretty successful and quite good, so I'm fully for them making another game. I'll go ahead and say that now.
Yeah. And like I said initially, I was just like, I don't care if they make another game. It's fuck that. I don't, you know. But like I said, I got over it. So now I'm totally down. I just hope that you don't have to play. I mean, I guess because you play as Miles in this game, and he's not even Spider-Man yet. So I can just imagine the next game how much you'll have to play as Miles.
Yeah, and that might get annoying.
Unless they do it like co-op style. That might be kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, if the next game has co-op Spider-Man stuff going on, dude, we are so playing that game.
Hell yeah. That would be pretty awesome. I really hope they do that instead of just having you switch. Or it could be like, I know you haven't played GTA 5, but there's 3 main characters in that game, and you can kind of switch between them at any time.
Yeah.
And now they all have their own missions, so you can kind of do them in whatever order you want. So they might do it kind of like that, where you can kind of switch when you want to, and do the stuff that character has to do before you can, proceed with the main story. If they do it like that, I would prefer that to it being forced.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just in general I kind of like it. If you're gonna have, like you said, it's modern Spider-Man, so you have to include Miles. And if you have to force him in there, I guess they kind of did it the best way they could. Because I kind of prefer this introduction of Miles over the actual introduction of Miles. So
yeah, I mean, I do. I think the point you make about like this is the first Spider-Man game in this universe. Can't we just focus on Spider-Man? I think that is a really good point. And actually, I think introducing Miles in this game, totally fine. I think they should have done most everything up to the point where they get the spider and bite Miles. I think that should have been how a second game started, with like that kind of mission, or something that like gets that spider over to Miles and he gets bitten like right at the start of the game. And that way we could have had, I mean, even if they are planning on doing a sequel where, they're both Spider-Man, doing that right at the start of the game of the second one would have allowed this game to be more focused on Peter, like it's trying to be, and then also still get Miles into the universe, assuming there is a second game, I guess.
Or even have it as like an in-credits scene, maybe. Which I guess there already was one with him, but it's with... I guess we can talk about the in-credits scenes now. It's where he, I guess basically tells Peter that he has these spider powers now.
Yeah.
And Peter's like, I do too.
Yeah. That was pretty dumb.
Yeah. But it was like it was dorky in a Spider-Man way.
Yeah, true.
So it was fitting for Peter's character. That seemed like how Peter would react to that.
And
he's probably thinking, because if you play through the game and you do like the side stuff, he keeps making little comments like, oh man, there's so much going on, I wish I could clone myself.
Yeah.
He keeps saying stuff like that. So it's probably his first thought was like, oh sweet, I could train someone to help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I do. I love the clone comment especially, but yeah, I kind of feel like since you mentioned it, like putting the part where he was bitten by the spider, that actually probably would have made a much better Miles Morales is going to become Spider-Man in credits thing.
Yeah, and it would have been way less forced.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been totally... Because the way it was in the story already seemed way out of context, even though it was happening in the story.
Yeah.
Because it just happened for no reason. So if it's going to happen for no reason and without context... have it be an in-credit scene.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need context for that.
Exactly.
But whatever. I mean, they did what they did, and the story's over. So I mean, it's going forward. I'll be fine. It's just, I just don't want to play as, or I don't want to have to play as Miles too much in the next game. But
yeah,
whatever. As long as it's at least like you're not playing as Miles more than Peter. As long as they don't do something like killing Peter,
you're right.
Then I'll be okay. Yeah. Speaking of killing characters, I didn't really like that Aunt May died.
Yeah, I thought that was really lame. Well, I didn't like that Jefferson Davis died either. I was like, really, guys? Really? Does he have to die?
Well, because he has to have a similar experience to Peter.
Does he though? Does he?
Yeah, because he's just Peter. He's the same person.
Yeah. See, that really bothered me too. But, like, yeah, Aunt May dying also was like, I don't know, that felt out of nowhere to me. Like, I mean, obviously we're doing all this and it's going to be like a last minute save. I was literally expecting there to be a reveal even after like the heartbeat monitor thing, like for them to be like, oh, nope, she's actually alive. She made it. But
yeah, but no, they actually have her funeral and everything.
Yeah. So I was kind of disappointed in that.
You showed me that tombstone. If you go back there after you finish the story, is May's tombstone there?
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to check. I'm like up in that area when I was last playing. So I was gonna swing by and see if I could see if May's tombstone was there as well. Because
it'd be a nice touch. This game does seem to have a really good attention to detail. So
yeah. And I took Chris is referring to I was swinging around the city and I found the graveyard and I found Ben Parker's tombstone in the graveyard, and I took a picture of it and sent it to him. So yeah, it's possible. So it's in there even before the credits scene. You know, like the end story scene where you actually see both their tombstones. So yeah, I wanted to know if they actually did go in and add May's tombstone at the end. That would be cool.
Yeah,
I'm expecting that they probably did.
Did you see other tombstones there? Like, were there other names that were recognizable, or?
No, it didn't seem like, as far as I could tell, any other names were on any other tombstones. I actually was trying to look because I was expecting a lot of people like to hide Easter eggs in graveyards like that. So I was kind of expecting to find some, but I actually did not manage to find any. I was thinking, like maybe someone who worked on Spider-Man who had passed away, or like Gwen Stacy or something like that, but there was nothing.
Steve Ditko.
Yeah, Steve Ditko. I was wondering if he was dead. I wasn't entirely sure.
Well, doesn't it say some point in the game like in memory of Steve Ditko?
Oh, does
or
it?
I think in the opening credits. I think, or I could be wrong. I don't know. It might have been something else.
You could be right. I'm not sure.
It definitely wasn't Jack Coiby.
Well, I mean, it was Steve Ditko who co-created Spider-Man, and depending on what story you want to believe, entirely created or co-created.
Yeah. Well, since Stan Lee is at least he's the only one still alive, or at least the only one who ever talks to the public, so it's always going to be at least co-created.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was that end credit scene, and then I guess the other end credit scene we can kind of get into it specifically and the whole usage of Norman and Harry in this game. So I guess is he treating Harry with the symbiote? Is that what's going on?
That's kind of what it seemed like. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say, but. Yeah, I guess they're going with the symbiote possibly being created in a lab, like in the Ultimate comics, and but in this universe being like he's trying to use it to save Harry's life, as opposed to
cure cancer.
Yeah, cure cancer or whatever. So I mean that would be really weird. Primarily for the reason like if Harry becomes Venom.
Yeah,
like that would be
odd.
I mean, they've done a lot of weird things with Harry over the years for like different imaginings of Spider-Man.
That's definitely a departure.
Yeah. Sure. And Harry Osborn, one of the very first comics I ever bought was the death of Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin. So I've always liked Harry as the Green Goblin because of that. But it seems like everybody else dislikes the idea of him just taking over from Norman, having been the Green Goblin. So, like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't really have a preference. I whatever. Either way.
Yeah.
I kind of at least would like Norman to be the Goblin first.
Me too.
Before Harry is the Goblin. But it doesn't... I mean, I'm not that big of a Green Goblin fan anyway, so whatever.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Hobgoblin guy.
I'm more of a Demogoblin guy.
Well, whatever.
No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
You're more of a menace guy.
Well, I technically, I really liked Phil Urich as the good Green Goblin. So I actually kind of hated them making him into a villain. I didn't really think it made sense with his history, but I guess his history has maybe technically changed with the advent of Brand New Day.
We're probably going to talk about that in the comic podcast, in your comic podcast.
Yes. So,
but anyway, so do you think they're even gonna? I mean, did you expect Norman to ever become the Goblin in this game?
I felt like if they were going to turn what's his name, Otto Octavius, into Dr. Octopus, that they would probably then turn Norman Osborn into the Green Goblin in the same game.
I kind of thought for a while that he had already been the Green Goblin and Peter just didn't know. That's who it was.
I was kind of wondering that for most of the game. Like, was there a history of the Goblin in this universe? Like, had he been a Green Goblin and just kind of gotten away with it, as opposed to being discovered to be Norman Osborn?
Well, there is a point in the comics though where Norman forgets he was the Green Goblin, right? Like, doesn't that happen at some point or something?
I have no idea, honestly.
So many things. I mean, so many things have happened with Norman that's probably happened at some point.
It's very possible. Actually, that sounds familiar now that you mention it. It does sound familiar, so I think it has happened. Yeah. And actually, considering how cheesy a lot of the early comics were, it's probably happened a few times. It's probably happened a few times while he was still originally alive.
Because I think Peter's always like, I know he was the Goblin, but he doesn't remember, so I'm not going to hold it against him or something. Like, there's like that struggle with Peter. Like, can he like trust Norman?
Yeah.
Even though he was the Goblin, but he doesn't remember that he was the Goblin. I don't know.
Yep.
It seems like a Spider-Man angle.
It definitely does. That like mixture between like his personal life struggle and his superhero life struggle. It's very Spider-Man.
Yeah. So do you think they're even gonna, if they just go straight, let's just say for instance they go straight to Harry being Venom, I mean, do you think they're even gonna introduce a Green Goblin at any point?
I don't know. If they do go straight to Harry being Venom, then actually, honestly, they might introduce Norman as a Green Goblin who's trying to be a hero in the sense that he's trying to
stop Venom.
Yeah. I was kind of before they made it look like Harry was going to be Venom possibly, or at least being the symbiote healing him. I was thinking that what would happen was possibly like a Menace storyline or something where like maybe Norman Osborn was having a Green Goblin type villain run errands for, or like Hobgoblin maybe kind of from the cartoon.
Or sort of like how it was implied what was going on in Spectacular for a while.
Right, yeah. Where it was kind of like this Green Goblin was kind of sort of running errands, essentially super villain errands for Norman Osborn.
Right.
I kind of feel like maybe that. I was kind of feeling like that was maybe the direction they might go for a Spider-Man 2, and then that could still have like, oh, it turns out also Norman Osborn was already the Green Goblin or something. But he was using this other Goblin, to do most of the stuff for him.
What if Harry never becomes Venom, and so let's just suppose this. We're getting into wild speculation now, but what if somehow the symbiote leaves Harry, and that's how Spider-Man gets the symbiote? And then that ends up being the reason why Harry hates Spider-Man, because like, oh, you stole the symbiote from me.
Yeah, that would actually. I think that's actually very along the lines of what the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon did.
Yeah,
as like I think Harry had the symbiote first. I think it was Harry. I mean, I know Harry had it. I guess I don't remember if he had it first in that show or not. But like, he like had it, and then but it wanted to be with Spider-Man. It was like only using Harry to get to Spider-Man or something.
All right, we're back. We had some technical difficulties. It's a good thing we don't do a live show.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we've gone a lot longer than we're used to going here on the Antiverse.
Yeah.
Although I guess it's hard to say we're used to doing anything when we haven't done a show in 4 years.
That's a good point.
We've just gone a lot longer than the shows have gone in the past. But anyway, so we were talking about Harry having the symbiote in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah. And I was just saying I don't know. It was kind of a similar deal with Eddie Brock having the symbiote, really, of just like him using the symbiote to get to Peter to be on Spider-Man or something. But like, that show was so dumb. Sorry, I can't remember it very well. But yeah, I mean, they could be doing something.
It's a bad show. Well, I think I guess we've covered everything here. Did you? What all came with your special Ultimate Super Duper Collector Awesome Edition?
Well, I have and maybe we can include the little clip, the little, what's it called, the GIF or GIF that I made of all the items. But yeah, it was besides the awesome box. Yeah, I made a little GIF.
Oh yeah, I'll totally do that. That'll be playing right now because I mean this is a video now. So.
Hey. So yeah, we can do that.
Throw that in right here, and that'll be playing. And
I'll send that to you.
Look at all that. That's cool stuff.
And yeah, it's besides the box, it came with like an art book.
Is that on your Facebook, by the way? Is that where I can get that?
Yeah, it should be on there.
Okay, I'll find it. If not, I'll just ask you to send it to me.
But yeah, it's got like an art book, and the statue is kind of the main thing, and the still case, which has like a picture of him doing a selfie up on like the Empire State or something. And I love still cases. It's a really cool still case. It's a red.
Did you ever figure out what he was on top of? On the statue?
Yeah, I'm judging from having played the game. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and pull the statue down off my shelf.
Yeah, because I couldn't ever figure it out, even having beaten the game. And when you showed it to me, I was like, "What? I beat the game, and I don't know what that is."
Okay, I'm back.
Cool.
So yeah, from what I can tell, looking at it and having played all the way through the game, I can kind of see Rhino's horn. It looks like Scorpion's tail. I guess Vulture's, one of Vulture's wing. Oh, both of Vulture's wings. I guess that's what those are. And like a bit of one of the octopus arms from Dr. Octopus. Oh, actually, it looks like the whole octopus like pack is on there, and then they're just kind of all wrapped around. I guess they might be entirely wrapped around the Rhino in general. Is kind of the idea. And then that's kind of
4 members of the Sinister Six, or at least this game's version of the Sinister Six.
Oh yeah, it looks like Martin Lee's sword there is.
Is there electro bits in there somewhere?
There might be. I mean, there's like this thing. I don't really know what it is. It looks like fire, honestly. It's kind of a weird statue, to be honest, but it is also kind of cool. It's very like a lot of it's very metallic looking, especially like the scorpion tail. So and it's really well made. It's very detailed.
We didn't ever talk about how we like the white spider suit.
We
were talking about the suits.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan of the white. It looks weird. It kind of clashes.
Yeah.
I guess, points for trying something different, but mostly to me it just looks like the Amazing Spider-Man suit, but kind of basketball material, but with a white spider and white streaks going through it.
Did you use one particular suit in the game over the others, or were you kind of switching a lot?
I switched kind of a lot. I think mostly
the Luchador suit was awesome.
The Luchador suit.
Yeah.
Oh, like the wrestling suit. I actually don't think I really used that one.
That's the one I was wearing during the Halloween party part.
I wore the Negative Zone suit, or not. Oh, sorry, it's not the Negative Zone suit. It's the Negative suit. Right. Because it's like the Martin Lee and Corruption or whatever, or Mr. Negative Corruption. I used the Spider-Man 2099 suit a lot. Just the regular one, not the white one. I used the Spider-Punk suit quite a bit, and JJ has a special, or JJJ has a special little quip that he makes on his little podcast thing about that suit that I really enjoyed because it referenced the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, and why is that the only one he talks about?
I don't know. That's really, really weird. I guess because it was like the first one they announced on the pre-order stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
And the other one I used a lot was the classic throwback one where he has like the really, really thick outline and he looks like he's a cartoon.
Oh, dude, I love that one.
I love
dude,
that
the
one.
Suit power is awesome. The quip
he just
power.
makes a quip. It doesn't do any good, but it just like insults them or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. When I unlocked it, I was like, holy shit. Like, it just looks cool.
It looks really cool. It's pretty much what I was wearing through like all of the end of the game, and like all this serious stuff is happening, and it looks like they're talking to Roger Rabbit or something.
Did you did you ever use the Ghost Spider suit?
I don't think so. Which one's that one?
The one where his head's on fire, like Ghost Rider? But
yes, that's
Ghost
the one
Spider?
I'm using right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. And you like have a flaming skull as a head?
Yes.
That one is hilarious in cutscenes.
Yeah. It was hilarious. Like, I did the mission where like these people are like hitting the this oil truck and like all this oil's coming out of it and it's like, oh, it's gonna explode. And I'm like, well, my head being on fire is probably bad then.
I probably shouldn't be here. I guess that's the end. So overall, yeah, we approve of the game. You should play it. So yeah, so you can go ahead and plug your blog and podcast one more time, and the Patreon and all that, and then I will get into plugging our things, I guess, to end the show. So go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, so just you can check out my blog at captainaway.wordpress.com, where I review comic book series, and you can also support really both of us in a sense, mainly me, on Patreon at just patreon.com/captainaway, and that's going to help with our other podcasts, which I think we were going with Comic Cave for the name of the podcast now. And it's going to talk about comic books and comic-related media. And we'll be doing...
And it's going to sort of be, not to butt in here, but it's going to be sort of a different dynamic than this show, because actually Ramsey's hosting that one.
Yes.
And Ramsey's sort of controlling the flow and the outline of the show.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to keep that shorter than what we usually do here on the Antiverse.
Yeah, because it's not really going to be as rambling as this one, probably.
Hopefully.
A little more structured. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can check that out at one of those two sites. And I guess that's my plugging me.
And you don't know where exactly the free podcast is going to be yet.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to be hosted yet, but I'll probably be finding out sometime this coming week. And so,
well, wherever it'll be, you can find it on the website.
Yes, yeah, I'll be posting it, either a link to it, or hopefully I can actually post the podcast itself on the website.
Yeah.
But at the very least, a link to it, or tell you where you can find it. So we'll see.
Yeah, and that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. As far as Antiverse stuff goes, this has been episode 57. Thanks for listening. If you are listening, obviously you have found our YouTube channel, which we have now created for this podcast. We're kind of not going to be messing with podcast feeds anymore, worrying about, linking everything up with iTunes and stuff. We figure most people, at least for this type of thing, kind of watch these sort of, I say watch, there's not really anything to see, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I just personally, if I'll listen to a podcast on YouTube, it's just playing in the background while I'm doing something else,
Right.
I figure that's the way most people listen to these types of podcasts now. And it's a lot easier for me to just upload it on YouTube as opposed to worrying about a podcast feed being all synced up and working. So So thanks for finding our YouTube channel, if you're listening to this embedded somewhere, I guess, go ahead and click and find our YouTube channel and go ahead and click on subscribe, leave a comment and a thumbs up and all that good stuff. Share the link to the video. Let everybody know what we think about Spider-Man on PS4. Our website now is just... It's the same website, so it looks the same as it always did. It's really the same thing. It's just antiversepodcast.com now. And our Twitter, if you would like to tweet us, is at AntiversePod on Twitter. And you can reach us, obviously, at... I don't know why I said obviously, because it's not obvious. Although it might be obvious if I guess you're reading the description on YouTube. I'm probably just going to write all this stuff. So if you did already read this, then it is obvious that you can email us, antiversepodcast@gmail.com. So there you go. That's all the housekeeping for Antiverse. And I think we're good to go. And I guess we'll see everybody back here next time in the Antiverse.
Shaw.
Antiverse.